Mr. Gray, Assembly Bill 1851. Will you be presenting with Mr. Ting?
Not sure, Mr. Chairman, if Mr. Ting is on his way, but I can go ahead.
Please do
and
proceed in the essence of time.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman, members. This is a subject you've already had some discussion about today with the Calderon bill. AB 1851 seeks to expand the incentives offered under the Clean Vehicle Rebate Project to drive consumer demand for zero-emission and plug-in hybrid vehicles. As you know, members, by 2025, the climate change goals require 15.4% of new car sales to be zero-emission vehicles. We are in no way on a course that's going to result in that being a reality. In fact, I think today we're at just over 3.1% of new sales, and that number is down since last year.
Move the bill.
The other core that this bill gets at, and I'm going to skip to really the intent, since I know you guys are familiar with this, with the breadth of the subject area. Oftentimes, climate change programs disadvantage some of our poorest communities, represented in the inland parts of California, communities faced with some of the worst air quality issues that also have our primary industries contributing to those very issues. And striking the balance on climate change policy, putting things in place that frankly cause contraction in those industries, cause high unemployment, while not taking that money and reinvesting it in those communities. We've had some discussion today about disadvantaged communities in the Central Valley. Certainly many parts of the Central Valley qualify. This bill takes a very aggressive stance, providing increased incentives to those very people, so that rather than just being the first in line to pay, we could also be the first in line to receive some benefit in those areas. And I know Senator Brown and Senator Garcia and others know exactly what I'm talking about. This is an aggressive plan. It is therefore an expensive plan. Mr. Calderon's bill, I think, leaves a little bit more authority up to the Air Board, but members, my experience is that when I leave things up to the Air Board or the Water Board or any other boards, they end up somehow forgetting about the Central Valley. So I've got a bill that's a little more prescriptive and, again, therefore more expensive. I would appreciate your consideration today and answer any questions at this time. I think we have some testimony with me in support.
Please
thank you,
proceed.
Mr. Chair and members. Cliff Costa on behalf of the California New Car Dealers Association. I want to thank Mr. Gray and Mr. Ting, if he was here, for pushing forward this measure. We at the California New Car Dealers are at the front line of dealing with customers who are deciding to purchase new vehicles. And we are telling you, and we are here today to say to you, we are struggling to get customers into and interested into purchasing these cars. When people show up at dealerships now, back 20 years ago, people were showing up and going to 5 or 6 different dealerships and kicking the tires and trying to decide, what car do I really want? Well, cell phones and the internet have utterly changed how people shop for cars. They come online, figure out what cars they want, and then they show up at the dealership. Typically, the average person who buys a car at a new car dealer travels to 1.4 dealerships. This is down from 5 or 6 20 years ago. So when the person is showing up at the dealership, they've already made their decision to purchase the car. So how can we convince them beforehand to get interested in a zero-emission vehicle? There's one way to do that, and that is the price of the vehicle. I'm telling you, as the retailer who sells 2 million new cars last year, we know how to sell new cars, and this is how you sell them. You convince people that the price is right for them. We can go on and talk about all the reasons why people aren't interested potentially in buying these cars, places to refuel, low gas prices, etc. But we're coming to you and saying, we have the mandate in front of us. Please give us the resources to deal and help convince consumers to be interested in these cars. And with that, I can get into the details, but I'll leave that for questions.
Mr. Ting, would you like to?
Yeah, I'm here as a joint author for AB 1851, and as we've seen, we're at a crossroads with our fuel capacity and our transportation capacity. If we really want to have cleaner cars out on the roads, we're going to need to do something fairly drastic to really move the needle. As you all know, over 40% of greenhouse gas emissions in the state is due to transportation. And if we don't do greater incentives to these vehicles, we're not really going to see us being able to reduce that greenhouse gas effect at all. One of the other things that we need to watch is by creating an incentive for greater adoption of these vehicles, we're also going to see infrastructure being built out, because quite often what you hear is a critique that there's not enough infrastructure on the roads in terms of charging infrastructure or places where to fuel these cars. So again, really priming that pump of demand is going to make a huge difference in this area.
Any other witnesses in the public that would like to testify in support of the joint authors bill? Seeing none, any members of the public that would like to, wait a minute, Ms. Brown, I'll be right with you. Any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the author's bill? Seeing none, questions of the committee, Ms. Brown.
I have a question. The earlier bill talked about the cap on the car would be $40,000. Your bill is $60,000. Are these bills going to kind of come together so that what's going to happen with that?
Both Mr. Ting and myself have had conversations with Mr. Calderon, intent on working towards one vehicle and taking certainly the best aspects of his legislation and hopefully the best aspects of the legislation we're working on, and moving that forward to the governor.
One other thing. When we first came into the legislature, our class first came in, we looked at the hydrogen superhighway, and I know that it's being built somewhat, but are we talking about that in these two bills?
Yes.
I saw something in there, but I'm just,
Yes,
can you talk a little bit about that?
I would say absolutely. So, as you know, two of the largest manufacturer/auto dealers, Toyota and Honda, have really moved away from electric cars, and they are going full steam ahead with hydrogen fuel cells. So, those two companies are frankly leading the effort. So, I don't think it's either or. If you look at how the Energy Commission is funding this, as well as the Air Resources Board, they're funding both technologies. So they're not trying to choose winners and losers. They're really substituting and having both.
Thank you.
Any other members of the committee? Mr. Chow. Chu, excuse me, Chu. Mr. Kanzan Chu.
All right. Thank you very much. I just wanted to say that I'm in favor of lowering that to 40,000 versus 60,000. I don't know how many of the low and moderate income families can really afford a $60,000 vehicle. Maybe Cliff can address that.
Yes, we are very open to working with Mr. Calderon. The issue for us is we wanted to capture the fuel cell vehicles that Ms. Brown is talking about. The Toyota Mirai, for example, the MSRP on that, the entry level is about $57,000, almost $58,000. We believe the Honda Clarity, based on news reports, are going to come out to be at $60,000. And so we have discussed with Mr. Gray's office, Mr. Ting's office, about maybe a position where the MSRP would be higher for fuel cells than they would be for other vehicles. So we are definitely looking at that.
And if I could expand on that a little bit, as I said earlier, this is a very aggressive bill trying to get after really moving the needle on these sales. And when it comes to poor, disadvantaged communities, we're talking about 40%, 45%, 55% credits here from 10, 15, and 25. So those, all of a sudden, even $50,000 vehicles become much more affordable to the average family in communities like mine and others. So that's included in the bill.
Mr. Mendita.
I just wanted to ask the author if there was any sunset to the bill in the language.
There's currently not a sunset in the bill, although I believe there's been some amendments offered up by the committee.
That is one of the questions we'll be asking if you're accepting the
And so
the
maybe
amendments.
at this time I'd go ahead and say we're happy to accept the 4 amendments mentioned in the analysis. Mr. Chair, would you like me to go over those?
Yes, please, for the committee.
limiting the incentives to the first $60,000 of a vehicle's MSRP or the final sales price of the vehicle, whichever is lower, include a sunset for January 1st, 2026, specify that only low and moderate income households in disadvantaged communities would qualify for the enhanced rebates, and clarify that the incentives provided in this bill would replace and not be in addition to the existing incentives. So all four of those amendments are good with myself and Mr. Ting.
Good deal. Any other questions from the committee? Seeing none, would we have a consensus on a close?
Respectfully ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much. We do have a motion by Assemblymember Brown and a second by Assemblymember Daly, which I thank. Mr. Gray and Mr. Ting, I have never said that you have not gone big. I think your motto should be go big or go home. And your proposal is not for the faint of heart. Well, I agree with you. What you're trying to achieve is admirable. I'm not sure it's the right approach. We've talked about raising incentives, but we haven't talked about that we've gone through a tremendous recession, and we haven't had the ability, we haven't even looked at even lowering the bar of the goal or extending the goal. Those are options that we should be looking at also in maybe co-equal goals. But I'm open to work with you on this and find a way to make it work. But for right now, I'm not sure this provides the best solution because I say we've left something out. We haven't acknowledged, as I mentioned. And so with that, I'm going to be staying off the bill today and look forward to a comprehensive approach. And when it, hopefully, if it does get to the floor, that I can come up on it then. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass as amended to the Assembly Revenue and Taxation Committee. Frazier?
Not voting.
Frazier not voting. Linder? Baker? Aye. Baker, aye. Bloom? Brown? Aye. Brown, aye. Chu? Chu, aye. Daly? Daly, aye. Dodd? Aye. Dodd, aye. Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, aye. Gomez? Kim? Mathis? Medina? Aye. Medina, aye. Melendez? Nazarian? O'Donnell?
The bill has 7. We'll leave the roll open for absent members. Thank you for
Thank you, Mr.
continuing
Chair.
to blow me away. Thank you, Mr. Gray and Mr. Ting. So we have now Mr. Gallagher. Assembly Bill 1768. Please proceed to the podium and start when you're ready, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So unlike the previous author, I'm just asking something small. We're not going big here. I'm asking for your support of AB 1768, the Rail to Roads Reinvestment Act, which is just asking a small thing. It's really not asking the legislature to really do much at all. It's asking the legislature to put this question to the voters about priorities. I think we all, well, I know we all agree that we need to adequately fund our roads. And so we've been having a lot of conversations about how we get there, and I think there's been a lot of good discussions in that front. And including Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your leadership in looking at, hey, how do we use cap and trade funds to be part of that discussion and how we adequately fund roads. And I think our constituents expect that we look not only at new revenues, but we look at how do we deal with existing revenues? How do we deal with money that we already have? And how do we either reprioritize that or find ways to get the most and maximize that revenue that we already have? And I think at least part of that discussion is about high-speed rail. Now, I know we have several high-speed rail bills before you today. But the heart of AB 1768 is just to ask the voters, does it make sense to reappropriate this money from high-speed rail and put it into our roads so that we are getting the most out of the money that's already out there, that's already been authorized by voters and by the legislature. How can we get the most out of that money to do what we need to do for our existing road system? So today, that's all I'm asking for, is that this is part of that discussion, asking the voters if they would like to reprioritize that money for our roads, and that will go along with the other discussions that we're having here in this body, in this committee especially, but throughout the legislature, about how we get the most out of the money that we have. Cap and trade funds, truck weight fees, talking about, is there an appropriate general fund commitment that should be made to roads? I for one think that there should be. I think a lot of my constituents say, hey, when I pay my taxes, at least one of those things that I expect my tax money to go to is our roads. So I consider this part of that discussion. I'd ask for your consideration, and just let's just put this question to the voters, and they can make that decision for us. How should we prioritize this money? I would also note that the way this works is that if the voters were to approve it, this is money that would go to the State Highway Operation and Protection Program, the SHOP program, to help support our highway system that supports all of us, all of our districts. And with that, I will submit my comments to the committee and be happy to answer any questions. I do have one witness with me today, David Wolf from Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association.
Mr. Wolf, please proceed.
Mr. Chairman, members, thank you so much. David Wolf with the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association. We're in support of the bill today. Members, there's so many things wrong with high-speed rail that it deserves to go back to voters for their consideration. Let's just tick off some of the ways, why don't we? The entire construction plan has shifted from the south of the state to the north of the state, putting cap and trade funding at risk. There is now a blended system, members, using light rail tracks and not the dedicated high-speed rail line that voters approved in 2008. There's next to no federal funding. There is no private investment. None of that continues to be forthcoming. And questions now even abound, members, as to whether the authority is being honest with its cost estimates, construction change orders, ridership estimates, pretty much everything, members, in its business plan. And it's worth noting, with these delays, members, Hyperloop technology, yes indeed Hyperloop, may overtake high-speed rail as a more viable and a faster transportation option. Members, given that we have a $58 billion road maintenance backlog over the next 10 years, as the author mentioned, it's important that we spend valuable transportation bond dollars on two things. Number one, projects that will last the length of the bond, and more importantly, get Californians moving again using our existing transportation infrastructure, because last I checked, most of us still use cars. I'd ask for an aye vote.
Any other members of the public that would like to testify in support of the author's bill? Seeing that, we'll go to any members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the author's bill. Please proceed. State your name and who you represent, please. Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair, member Cesar Diaz on behalf of the State Building and Construction Trades Council. As stated before, our members are currently building the high-speed rail project now. We have countless reports in Fresno about apprenticeship opportunities opening up in an area that has been severely impoverished, not many economic opportunities. What we see with the high-speed rail project is the ability for Fresno not only to be a hub for different housing and to send people back and forth from economic powerhouses such as the Bay Area and Los Angeles, but it is itself also in the Central Valley to actually have a diverse economy where companies are also willing to work there and relocate there from other areas as the Bay Area expands, as other areas expand. We see the high-speed rail project is vital towards the Central Valley's growth and economic diversity. We see this bill as yet another one of these similar legislations that you've seen before. In fact, I had a conversation with the assembly member. We were kind of jokingly, I made the mistake of thinking this is his second bill redirecting high-speed rail. He corrected me. He said it wasn't him. But there are other bills that were very similar. We want to thank this committee for handling these bills very carefully, for looking at the high-speed rail project reviewing it and making them accountable for it. But we see that we need just more transportation funding, period. We want to thank you, Assemblymember, and Mr. Chair, for your leadership on this issue. We understand you have legislation out there. You've been driving the train, basically, on this one to try to make sure that everybody's paying attention, because in the end, we need high-speed rail. We need the SHOP program. We need the STIP. We need every source of funding that's out there, and we need the financing for it. So we can't afford not to do this project. For those reasons, we oppose this.
Thank you. Please state your name and who you represent, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Keith Dunn on behalf of the Association of California High-Speed Trains. I'd like to associate myself with Mr. Diaz's comments. I'll take it from a little different approach. There's actually been 8 measures that have sought to redirect high-speed rail funds over the last year and a half. This is the 9th. I think it's worthy to note that the constituents here in the state of California have also had the opportunity to place this on the ballot before. They've rejected it in each occasion that they've been presented with that opportunity for lack of support. So as we mentioned, and I agree, we do need road monies, we need STIP, we need SHOP, we need transit, we need all of it. The fact of the matter is that our tax base, which currently pays for our transportation system, is a diminishing return. The way that we collect that tax as we get more, we hear about these high mileage vehicles that are coming on the road, we're getting a diminishing return on that gas. So we need to start looking at ways that we're paying for our roads and our infrastructure and exploring other options. We would encourage everyone to look at the chairman's bill. We think it's a good idea. We think that there's lots of opportunity out there to look at how we pay and what we're paying for and where those dollars go. But high-speed rail, the voters of California have repeatedly endorsed this project. We've been before the body here and the Senate as well and talk about the benefits of the project and the fact that we're moving forward, employing Californians, providing opportunities, increasing the environment, improving the environment for people in the Central Valley now and soon in the Bay Area and Southern California. So while we appreciate the author's desire to see dollars spent on SHOP and in the STIP, and I know that his district needs lots of improvements in their infrastructure, this isn't the way to go about it. We'd ask for a no vote.
Thank you. Any other members of the public that would like to testify in opposition to the bill? Seeing none, any members of the committee that have questions of the author? Assemblymember Brown.
Mr. Gallagher, how much money has already been spent on high-speed rail? Do you know?
I'm not sure the exact figure, but I think is it somewhere around $1 billion at this point? Is that right?
So what happens to the money that's already been allocated or that's already been spent? And what do we do if we try to stop it now?
Well, I guess my point to that would be, we do shift priorities. We shift priorities in this body all the time. As the chairman was talking about, even with the incentive bill that was before us, maybe we need to talk about changing our benchmark targets or extending those targets. When we see, as things progress, we sometimes change and reallocate our resources. To me, this is a similar deal. We're seeing that with high-speed rail, yes, it has the opportunity to provide much-needed jobs, but so could road construction. Road construction can provide a whole lot of jobs for people as well. And we're looking out there and saying, hey, this project's getting more and more expensive. Perhaps the bond that's already out there is not going to be enough to get this project completed. And at the same time, we now know we've got a huge deficit in our roads. So why not go back to the voters and say, hey, is it more appropriate that we spend this money on, they're both transportation related, is it more appropriate that we spend that money on our roads that will also provide those vital jobs that we need, but also take care of vital infrastructure?
Is this going to take the governor's signature?
Yes, it would, in order to put it on the ballot, yes.
That's what I thought. Thank you.
Any other questions of the committee, of the author? Seeing none, I'm going to take that as your close. We have a first by Assemblymember Baker and a second by Mr. Linder. Mr. Gallagher, I highly suggest that you tour the facility like I did. I took the bus from Sacramento to Stockton. I took the train from Stockton to Fresno and toured every bit of that facility and saw what it's doing for those communities and the thousands of jobs that it's putting together with disadvantaged employers, you name it, the gamut. Recycled rebar, for that whole project. I mean, it's amazing what they're doing. And for me to walk on that aqueduct in Madera and seeing the quality of work they're doing and what they're accomplishing because of the challenges that they've faced up till now, the legal challenges and the right-of-way acquisition. Any construction project has challenges. It's how you adapt. And this is necessary. And if you look at the power structure in California, it's about 25 miles from the Oregon border to the Mexican border at Tijuana, 25 miles in from the coast. The Central Valley gets left out all the time. This is their field of dreams. And we need to be able to be the first people in the nation to have something like this to be able to tout that we put people first. So I'm going to tell you right now that I understand your concerns. This is why this committee had an oversight hearing. And I have a bill to put ex officio members on the rail authority for this. And as a contractor, a former contractor, I take it as my objective to be the watchdog for this body. I highly recommend, as mentioned by Mr. Dunn, that you look really hard at 1591 if you want the shop funded. It does it. Might take a hard vote, but we will make sure that it gets accomplished that way. With that, I will not be supporting your bill. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
The motion is due pass to the Assembly Appropriations Committee. Frazier?
No.
Frazier, no. Linder? Linder, aye. Baker? Baker, aye. Bloom? Brown?
No.
Brown, no. Chu? Chu, no. Daly? Dodd? Eduardo Garcia? Eduardo Garcia, no. Gomez? Gomez, no. Kim? Kim, aye. Mathis? Mathis, aye. Medina? No. Medina, no. Melendez? Nazarian? O'Donnell?
So your bill has 4. We'll keep the roll open for the absent members. Thank you, Mr. Gallagher. Mr. Gatto. We go a little bit out of line. Mr. Gatto, thank you.